This chapter dropping bombshells yet again. Kaneki, Arima, Eto, One-Eyed King. So much insanity in this chapter, bro. Like, yo. So for starters, with the beginning of this chapter with Kaneki and Furuta looking through without permission, you gotta wonder one major thing. Is that gonna potentially bite them in the ass, or could they very well get thrown out or start going under investigation themselves for actually breaking the rules? They're supposed to get a warrant. You can't search through shit without having a warrant. And the new Quinque members, okay, to be honest with you, all I see is dead with them. Like, I don't see much of a future, though. That one chick, Jin Lee Xiao, oh my gosh, baby, you can stretch on me all day. Like, yo, out of the new Quink members, that's the only one that I'm kind of like, hey. The other two is kind of like, to be honest with you, I'm really hoping that they're not going to be mainstay new players and newcomers that are going to be really prevalent in the manga at this point, because it's kind of like, we're kind of deep in now. I mean, I guess you could say maybe this is like the halfway mark or something, so new characters will be introduced, but personally, I'm not that interested in them. I really don't particularly care. And the way things are going, honestly, I could see the way Kaneki was looking at them all morbid and shit, they could potentially go through some major shit and even death. But notice one thing about Kaneki, because he is an embodiment of everything that he knows thus far, he still has some of that heist in him, because when he was asking, the only question that he really asked was, oh wow, so they're 19, and what about Mutsuki? So that means for starters, he's looking at it like, fuck man, these young kids, they're getting fucked up, and you know, they're gonna have hell to pay, and they're only 19 years old. And at the same time, he still cares about Mutsuki, because that was the one out of all the Quinks that he was really closest to, because it probably reminded him of a younger version and a more inexperienced version of himself. So seeing Mutsuki and wondering about what's going on with him or her, whatever you want to call it at this point, is like, yo, he still somewhat cares about his heist past, and if he had to go up against them and shit like that, you know it's gonna affect him in one way or another. He's not gonna be able to be completely savage. When he did that shit to like Shu and threw him off the roof, it's because he never really was that close to Shu to begin with. But all these people from Tokyo Ghoul to Tokyo Ghoul Re that Ken Kaneki has encountered throughout the way, they all mean something to him. I think a lot of it is built up behind this barrier that he has of like, fuck everyone, it's all about me. And a little bit we did get a Mutsuki in the chapter, her beasting on Root Island and the setup of Scarecrow. He had the hat on, kind of looking like a V organization member. Definitely something is very intriguing right now that's going on Root Island. Maybe it's just, you know, Aogiri Tree in general, or that dude, like, you know, he's seen things was coming. Maybe he was a whistle like, hey, the CCG are on their way, and maybe Mutsuki and them are gonna get fucked up. Like, it'll suck if Mutsuki dies with all the setup. I mean, and then we had the setup of Washu talking to Uri and saying, yeah, my boring wife, you know, this and that. Like, I see a couple different things happening possibly. Because of her prestige and her family name and whatnot, maybe there's something more to her. Or it could be at the end, which I really don't want it to be, that Washu has a change of heart and sees his wife dying, and maybe he gives a slight shit and has some sort of redemption. I just don't see that in his fucking future, because dude's been a straight asshole the entirety of the series. He's not gonna have one of those things where it's like, oh, all of a sudden I feel bad now. No, that's not him. So that probably can be crossed out. There's something there though. It was definitely a huge setup with him talking about my boring wife, and she don't know shit about my work and none of that. Like, who the fuck knows? And then the big revelation with Eto, like at this point assumed by everyone, okay, Eto's the One-Eyed King, but why is it that it just continues to be like this looming mystery that we all seem to know, okay, Eto's the One-Eyed King. The fact that it was dropped in this chapter that she revealed she is indeed not the One-Eyed King makes me like, yo, because I was already like, that's the One-Eyed King, that's the One-Eyed King, that's the One-Eyed King. So the fact that she's not the One-Eyed King and she revealed that shit blew my fucking mind. And maybe the One-Eyed King is some sort of title passed down through families and families. Now, to be honest with you, to a certain degree, I will be slightly disappointed if it turns out that Kaneki through birthright is the One-Eyed King and not just by like maybe the legend, like, oh, one day, you know, somebody would come. Because if it's just through birthright, then it's kind of like, so it really, you know, why did it lead this way? I mean, I guess it would make sense simply because the clowns initiated the thing to begin with dropping the rods on Rize. Maybe the clowns had some intel on Kaneki being the One-Eyed King, but then again, how would that be? Because the One-Eyed King was originally supposed to be, you know, through birth, I'm assuming, like, you know, okay, he was a half-breed, but to my knowledge, Kaneki was just a straight-up human. I mean, we don't know really about his father and shit like that, but he was pretty much a 100% human, so either they gave birth to the One-Eyed King or they knew something about his past that even he didn't know. And the flashback of Eto going in, like, this chapter was Eto is just fucking insane. Big question though, if Eto isn't the one-eyed king indeed, then who is? Is it Kaneki indeed? I mean, again, if it's just through the fact that people knew something along the lines of that, but if it's through straight up birthright, I don't know, I feel like it's almost as if he was the chosen one this entire time to be the one-eyed king. And what the fuck was up with Kaneki's hand? When you seen in the chapter, it looked all scaly and shit like that. I know that he got his hand, I believe, cut off, so was that completely recreated using a Kagune, or is it something different? It looked real scaly, and like, I was like, what the fuck is up with that? Did he damage his hand, or is that a new one? Like, what's going on there? And then the biggest thing, when Arima says to Furuta, the V organization is calling for Ken Kaneki. Now again, it could be that the V knows about him having some sort of relation to the One-Eyed King, or being the One-Eyed King, Arima having some sort of relation to the V organization, and Furuta, like, this chapter blew my fucking mind. Like, so Arima this entire time could have been a part of this whole thing to turn him into that, and the fact that Arima knows pretty much that he's Ken Kaneki, although he could have just been addressing him as such, because like, at the end of the day, that's truly who he is. Like, you can call him Sasuke Heist all you want, but he really is Ken Kaneki. And it seems as though Arima even pulled the strings to get Furuta and Ken together to begin with, because he's like, oh, V is calling, as if he already knew all this. And something interesting about Furuta as well, I mean, we already know that there's something seriously off, and I mean, the V organization seems to not give too much of a fuck at the end of the day about the CCG if they allowed Furuta to do what he did and like kill all those motherfuckers. So the V organization can't be that trustworthy, not to mention what they did in Yoshimura's past. But Furuta addresses Arima as Mr. Kisho, and I'm sure most people addresses him as Arima, so is there something else? I mean, I know Furuta has a weird personality and he tends to offend people, like what he said in the last chapter, saying that Ken was basically a kid, but maybe there's more to it. Overall, very good chapter yet again. I want to say 8.5 to even a 9. That shit was great. The bombshell that Eto is not the One-Eyed King and it potentially could be Ken Kaneki. Why? That could be a reason that kind of makes or breaks it from being like a really good plot twist to just like, But let me know what you guys think though. Arima's involvement with the V, Furuta's involvement with the V, what's up with Ken's hand, Eto not being the One-Eyed King. If she's not the One-Eyed King and she's not this main thing that's been built up this entire time, Eto will probably die within the coming chapters. Any thoughts on Washu's wife? Is there something more to her than being a boring woman? And what do you think about the new Quinque members? Like, honestly, Jin Lee, Xiao, I want that. Your raw thoughts of the chapter, again, very good to great, 8.5 to a 9. Like, yo, Tokyo Ghoul continuing to heat up, baby. But thanks for watching. If you enjoyed anything about this video, make sure to drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you want more from me, make sure to subscribe. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day.